Okay, so these are the outlines. So we will discuss these contents today's class. So first of all, instruction execution cycle. So whenever an instruction comes, so it has to go through these phases to complete its execution. And we have already discussed this in the last class. So first of all, the instruction has to be fetched. So this is the first phase, instruction phase. Instruction is fetched from the memory. Then in the second phase, instruction is decoded. So in this phase, uh, the meaning of instruction is determined. And so what to do, that is known here. And then after that, the operand is fetched in this third phase. And then after that, in the fourth phase, the instruction is executed. And after executing the instructions, the result need to be written. It may be written in the memory or it may be written in the registers. So that is done here in this stage. And then the next instruction is fetched. And this is continued. So this is the execution cycle of an instruction. So based on the execution cycle that we discussed in the previous slide, different types of computer architectures, they follow the basic instruction execution cycle, and they are executed. They actually design their processor to use those all those phases during the execution of the instructions. So one of the example of the instruction set architecture is your RISC instruction set architecture, and this architecture uses 5 phases, and each phase takes one clock cycle to complete. So these are the phases. So instruction phase is first phase or step. Then second step is instruction decode and register phase step. And third is execution and effective address calculation step. Fourth one is memory access step, and fifth one is write back step. So all these steps, they use one clock cycle. So at most 5 clock cycles are used to complete execution of one instruction in the RISC architecture. And this is the first step. In the first step, that is instruction phase step, the instruction is fetched from the memory, and after that, the program counter value is incremented by 4 to point to the next instruction. So this is known as IF phase or IF step, and this takes one clock cycle. This is just one clock cycle. Then the second step is the instruction decode and register fetch cycle. So this is the second step. So here, after the instruction is fetched in the first step, that is decoded, and then the operand is read. If the operand is present in the register, then that is read here in this step. And these two, yes.
Sir,
So
these two processes, like the instruction which has been fetched is decoded, as well as the operands that are being used by the instruction will be fetched. Will
yes,
both be taking one clock cycle each, or only one clock cycle, sir?
one clock cycle. In one clock cycle, these two operations will be done. And how this is done, we will discuss after some time.
Okay, sir.
So if the operand is present in the register, then the that is fetched or read in this step. Okay, and this is taking one clock cycle. So this step takes one clock cycle, and in short, we are saying this as ID stage or step. Okay, then in the third stage, uh, the execution is done. Okay, execution is done by the ALU, that is arithmetic and logic unit. Okay, so we got to know that what operation has to do is to be done, that we got to know here. And we also found or read the operands here in this stage. So we have everything now, so that need to be executed. So ALU will perform the operations based on this operation. Okay, so it will perform the operations here. Okay, see, there are different types of instructions. Like we have arithmetic operation instructions are there, and there are some instructions which are only load instructions. Okay, load means the data will come from the memory, and it will be written into the register of the processor. And there may be the store instruction, and if the instruction is a store instruction, the data will go from the processor register to the memory. Okay. So different types of instructions are there. In load store instructions, nothing. I mean, ALU does not perform any operation. Okay, but ALU performs the effective address calculation. Effective address is calculated here in this step. If you are accessing the memory, means whether you are writing in the memory in the store instruction, or you are loading, or you are reading from the memory in the store sorry, load instruction. Okay, so for that you have to, I mean, processor has to find the effective address. Okay, so the effective address is actually the address of the operand in the memory. Okay, so that is done here in this step. If the instruction is a arithmetic instruction, then the arithmetic operation is performed by using the ALU. Okay, ALU performs that. And if it is a memory reference instruction, okay, then the effective address is calculated here in this stage. And in short, we say this stage as EX stage. Okay, and then next stage is memory access stage, and in short we say this as MEM stage. Okay, so here if the instruction is a memory reference instruction. Memory reference instruction means it may be a load instruction, or it may be a store instruction. So whatever it is, load or store, you will access the memory. So for load instruction, you will bring data from the memory. Okay, you'll read the memory, and in a store, if it's a store instruction, then you will write data in the memory. Okay, so for that you have to access memory. So that's why it is memory access stage. Okay, and here in this stage, one more operation is done. If the instruction is a branch instruction, okay, then the branch target address is updated here in this stage. Okay, so remember this. If the instruction is a branch instruction, then the branch target address is calculated here in this stage, in the MEM stage. Okay, then the last stage is write back stage. So after calculation is done, okay, or your instruction is a load instruction. Okay, in both the cases, uh, if your instruction is a arithmetic instruction, and the destination of the instruction is a register, so there you have to write the data result in the register. Or if the instruction is a load instruction, then you have to bring data from the memory and write it into the registers. So this writing data into the register is done here in this stage, in the WB. Okay, write back stage. So this stage is also known as WB stage. Okay, so these are all 5 stages used in the RISC instruction set architecture. Okay, RISC instruction set architecture. So any question? Okay, since there is no question, I'm moving to the next slide. So then data path. So data path is the collection or combination of, or set of registers, ALU, and other circuits, and the bus through which data or signal passes through. Okay, so this is combination of all this. This is known as data path. So it includes your program counter register, and memory, instruction memory registers, different general purpose registers, ALU, data memory. So all these things are included in the data path. Okay, and also it includes the bus. Okay, through which all these are connected. And as I discussed in the previous slide, I discussed different stages of execution of the instruction in a RISC architecture. So here you can see these are the stages. So this is showing the sequential execution of the instructions. So all the instructions, in order to complete its execution, it has to traverse all these phases, okay, or stages. So first of all, the instruction has to complete this IF stage, and after that it has to complete ID stage. After that it has to complete EX stage. After that it has to complete MEM stage, and after that it has to complete WB stage. Okay, and what happens in which stage I already discussed in the previous slide. So this is the sequential execution. So after the completion of one stage, the other stage starts. Okay, and each of these stages, they use one clock cycle. Okay, so this IF stage uses one clock cycle, this ID stage uses one clock cycle, EX stage uses one clock cycle, MEM stage also uses one clock cycle, and WB stage also uses one clock cycle. Okay, and different hardware components are used in each of these stages. So in the IF stage, this memory, instruction memory is used. Okay. Then in the ID stage, this register is used. Okay. In the IF stage, we read instruction from the memory because instruction is fetched from the memory. So the memory from where instruction is fed, that memory is instruction memory. That's why here instruction memory is used. Okay. IM stands for instruction memory. Then in the ID stage, we know that if the operand is in the register, that is read. So the operand is read from the register. That's why here the register component is used. Okay, in the ID stage. Then in the EX stage, ALU operation is done, so ALU is used. Okay. In the MEM stage, we read data. We actually access data memory. Okay. We are reading data memory or we are writing data memory. So that is done here in the MEM stage. So the hardware component used here is data memory. Okay. And in the last stage, we use register for writing. Okay. So register is used in two stages. In the second stage, that is in the ID stage, and in the WB stage. Okay. So there are total 5 stages. Okay. So this is the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and stage 5. So register is used in the stage 2, that is in the ID stage, and stage 5, that is WB stage. Okay. And memory is used in two stages, that is in the first stage, that is IF stage, and in the MEM stage, that is the fourth stage. Okay. In the first is the IM, that is the instruction memory is used, and the fourth stage data memory is used. Okay. And ALU hardware, this is used in the EX stage. Okay. So this is all about your data path. So any question? Okay. Since there is
Sir,
no, yes, tell.
sir, can you please repeat the function of write back cycle, sir?
Okay. So this is write back stage or step. Okay. So in write back, the data is written back into the registers. Okay. So in which type of registers, in which type of instruction data is written in the registers? In which type of instruction? If the instruction is a load instruction, then data is written in the registers. Yes or no? In load
Yes,
instruction,
sir.
what happens? Data, we bring data from the memory and we write it into the registers. So if the instruction is a load instruction, then it is the data is written into the registers. That is done in this stage. Okay. And if the instruction is a arithmetic instruction, and that in that arithmetic instruction, the destination is a register. Okay, destination is a register. Then also you have to write the data in the into that register. So that is also done in this WB stage. Okay. So this is also taking one clock cycle. So all these stages they take one clock cycle. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So sequential execution. So in this slide you can see how sequential execution of instruction is done. So in sequential execution, see we know that 5 stages are used in the execution of instruction in a RISC architecture. So these are the 5 stages: IF, ID, EX, MEM, and WB. So all the instructions has to pass through all these stages for completing its execution. So suppose we have three instruction: instruction I, instruction I plus 1, and instruction I plus 2. So we have three instructions. Okay. Suppose instruction uh, I comes first. Okay. Instruction I comes first. Then instruction I plus 1 comes. Then instruction I plus 2 comes. Okay. So the instruction I will complete its execution first. So instruction I has to complete all these phases. Okay. So after instruction I completes all these phases, that is, it completes WV phase. Then after that, instruction I plus 1 will start its IF phase. Okay. So in sequential execution, after after one instruction completes all its phases, okay, then only other instruction will start executing. So that happens in sequential execution. So here you can see instruction I completes all its phases. That is its last phase is WP. So WP is completed here, and after that instruction I plus 1 starts here. Okay. Similarly, instruction I plus 1 completes here. Okay. Then instruction I plus 2 starts here. Okay. So this way, instructions are executed in sequential execution. Okay. So here we have three instructions, and we know that at most one instruction takes 5 clock cycles to complete its execution. Because here you can see one instruction, one phase will take one clock cycle. So 5 phases or 5 stages. So clock cycles will be used here. Similarly, this will also use 5 clock cycle. This also will use 5 clock cycle. So total, how many clock cycles is required to complete execution of these three instructions? Can you tell me?
15.
Total 15 clock cycles are required to complete execution of these three instructions. That is I, instruction I plus one, and instruction I plus two. Okay. So this is happening in sequential execution of instructions. Okay. The next is pipelining. So in sequential execution of instructions, we saw that instructions are executed sequentially. So after one instruction completes all its phases, then the next instruction starts. Okay. So in case of sequential execution, it is taking more time. It is taking a lot of time to complete the execution. Okay. So if you want that your computer should be fast, okay, then you have to reduce the number of clock cycles requirement for completing the execution of a program. See, program means set of instructions. So in a program there are several instructions are there, and all these instructions they are executed. Okay. And each instruction takes some clock cycles. Like if you're using this RISC architecture, one instruction will take 5 clock cycle. Okay. And one clock cycle is taking some time. So if you want to find the total time, how much time the program will take, you know how to find. You have to find total number of clock cycles the program is taking, and then you have to multiply the time one clock cycle is taking. So if you multiply that, then you will get the total time the program is taking. So the program, if the program is taking more time, then it is slow. Okay. If the program is taking less time to complete its execution, then it is faster. Okay. So we have to make the CPU faster. So how to make the CPU faster? If the CPU executes the program with very less amount of time, if it requires less time to complete the execution of the program, then the CPU will become faster. Okay. So the main objective here is to reduce the number of clock cycles. If you reduce the number of clock cycles requirement by a program, then the CPU will become faster. Okay. So we saw in the previous slide that to complete execution of three instructions, we require 15 clock cycles. Okay. Now, how can we reduce the number of clock cycles? Okay. So we can use this technique, pipelining. So this pipelining is a technique. This is an implementation technique we can use to uh, reduce the number of clock cycles. Okay. So this technique actually allows parallel processing. Okay. So we can I mean multiple instructions can execute in parallel by using this pipelining technique. Okay. So how they are executed in parallel? They are overlapped actually. The instructions are overlapped in execution. Okay. See, there are 5 stages. So all the instructions has to go through the 5 stages. But the instruction is not requiring all these 5 stages always. In one clock cycle or at a particular clock cycle, a certain instruction or particular instruction requires to be executed. Okay. So all the phases are not required at one point of time. Okay. So we can do one thing. We can overlap multiple instructions in these phases. In these 5 phases, we can overlap multiple instructions. That means one instruction can be in the IF stage, and the other instruction can be in the ID stage. The other instruction can be the third instruction can be in the EX stage. The fourth instruction can be in the MEM stage, and fifth instruction can be in the WB stage. So 5 instructions can be overlapped in the execution. So this technique is known as pipeline. Okay. So this pipelining is an implementation technique where multiple instructions are overlapped in execution to make the fast CPU. Okay. For example, you can see here we have same three instructions. We have instruction I plus one, and instruction I plus two. Okay. So here the clock cycle numbers are there. Okay. Clock cycle 1, clock cycle 2, clock cycle 3, clock cycle 4, clock cycle 5, clock cycle 6, and clock cycle 7. So total 7 clock cycles are used here. So now you see the clock cycle number 1. So this is clock cycle number 1. So here instruction I, this instruction I will do is IF operation. Okay. IF operation will be done for the instruction I. And here you see I plus 1 is doing nothing, I plus 2 is also doing nothing in this clock cycle here at this time. Okay. Then you see at this time, that is in clock cycle number 2, instruction I is doing its ID phase. Okay. And here instruction I plus 1 is doing its IF phase. Okay. And instruction I plus 2 is doing nothing. Okay. You remember here in pipelining, At each clock cycle, one instruction is issued, one instruction is fetched. Okay, so at each clock cycle, the hardware generates one instruction. Okay, one instruction is fetched in each clock cycle. So in the first clock cycle, instruction I is fetched and its IF operation is done. In the second clock cycle, instruction I plus one is fetched. Okay, and its IF is done, and instruction I's ID is done here. Okay, in the third clock cycle here, instruction I's IEX is done, instruction I plus one's ID is done, and instruction I plus two's IF is done. You can see here. Okay. Then in the fourth clock cycle, instruction I's MEM is done, instruction I plus one's EX is done, and instruction I plus two's ID is done. Okay. In the fifth clock cycle, instruction I's WB is done, instruction I plus one's MEM is done, and instruction I plus two's EX is done. Okay. Now in the fifth clock cycle, you see instruction one completes its execution. Okay. We know that to complete execution of an instruction, that instruction has to complete all these phases. Okay. So at the clock cycle number 5, instruction I completes this WB phase, so its execution is completed. Okay. Now in the clock cycle number 6, instruction I plus 1 completes here WB phase, so it is completed at clock cycle number 6. Okay. And in the clock cycle number 6, you see WB of I plus 1 is done and MEM of I plus 2 is done. Then in the clock cycle number 7, WB of I plus 2 is done, and this I plus 2 instruction completes the execution here. Okay. So now you can see here total how many clock cycles used here in this case. Total how many clock cycles? Can you tell me?
7.
Seven.
Yes, total 7 clock cycles used here. Clock cycle number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So total 7 number of clock cycles are used here. So this is known as pipeline execution. Okay. So here you can see three instructions there overlap in execution. Okay, they are overlapped in different phases or different stages. So all these are known as stages of pipelining. Okay, IF stage, ID stage, EX stage, MEM stage, and WB stage. All these are known as stages of pipeline. Okay, so in pipeline, what we do? So this is actually a technique. This is an implementation technique where multiple instructions are overlapped in execution to make the fast CPU. Okay, so this way we can reduce the number of clock cycles requirements. Okay, and we can make the CPU faster. So this is your pipeline. Okay, this is your pipeline, and there are two types of pipelining. One is your instruction pipelining and the other one is your arithmetic pipeline. Okay, so any question?
Sir, when external inputs like MFC and interrupt, sir,
Yeah.
will it be affecting all the three instructions at a time or only
Yes,
one
yes,
instruction at a time?
yes. Very good question. Very good question you are asking. Uh, See, MFC used whenever instruction reads something. I mean, data is read from the memory or data is written in the memory. Okay, and the problem is if you find data in the cache memory, then it will be taken with less amount of time. But if the data is not present in cache, then you have to go to the lower level memory, and it will take more time. Okay, so we don't know actually. Actually, it is not fixed that how much time will be taken here in case of MEM stage. So memory is accessed in which stage? It is accessed in this MEM stage. Okay, MEM stage, and also in the IF stage also memory is accessed. Okay, so in these stages, in MEM stage and in the IF stage, how much time it will take? Okay, for accessing the memory, so it is not fixed actually. Okay, it varies. If the data is found in the cache, it will take less time. If the data is not found in the cache, it will take more time. Okay, so whenever data is found, okay, after data is read or written, that is completed. After that only MFC signal comes to the processor. Okay, so processor actually has to wait till that time. So whenever
S-
processor, I'm explaining that. Wait, I'm
yes,
explaining
sir.
that. Okay, so when processor receives that MFC signal, after that only it will move to the next stage. Okay, so I told you that all these stages they use same amount of time. The amount of time used by this IF stage, okay, is same as the amount of time this ID stage is using, same as the time EX stage is using. So all these stages is taking same amount of time. Okay, so we have to give maximum amount of time to these stages. Okay, so that all these operations can be performed within that time. Say this MEM stage will maximum take certain amount of time, so we can give that amount of time to this MEM stage. Okay, I mean, suppose the page fault occurs. Okay, I mean data is not present in the cache memory, then it has to go to the lower level memory. So the maximum time it will take to access data from the lower level memory, that we know. So maximum this much time will be taken. So we have to give that much amount of time to this MEM stage. Okay, and the same amount of time has to be given to all the stages also. Okay, now clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yes, so we have to give that much amount of time to the stage where memory access is done, and the same amount of time you have to give all the stages, because I told you that all the stages they take same amount of time. Okay, we have to give same amount of time to all the stages. Okay, this is also a drawback, that some stages may take less time and some stages may take more time, but we are giving same amount of time to all the stages irrespective of any stage is taking less time or any stage is taking more time. Okay, so this is the drawback, and how to solve this drawback we'll discuss later. Okay, this is the issue. Okay, we'll discuss about this later. Okay, so any question? Okay, since there is no question, I'm moving to the next slide. So this is the comparison between non-pipeline execution and the pipeline execution. So this is your non-pipeline execution, where one instruction, after the completion of one instruction, the other instruction starts execution. Okay, and this is pipeline execution, where multiple instructions they are overlapped in execution. Okay, and this way we are actually executing multiple instructions parallel. Okay, so this is parallel execution. Pipeline is a parallel execution. Okay, so you may get question. Uh, this pipelining is implemented in a uniprocessor system. Remember this pipelining is implemented in a uniprocessor system. Uniprocessor system means only one processor. Okay, so don't think that pipeline is a multiprocessor system. Okay, so if you get question that can we achieve parallelism, okay, in a uniprocessor system, yes or no, or and justify your answer. You may get this type of question. Can we achieve parallelism in a uniprocessor system, and justify your answer? You may get this type of question. Okay. So can we achieve parallelism?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And you have to justify your answer. How to justify? By using pipeline.
Pipeline.
Okay. So now I'll discuss the basics of a RISC instruction set. Okay. Basics of a RISC instruction set. So I told you that instruction set is actually set of instructions. Okay. So there are basically three classes of instructions in a RISC instruction set. So the first class of instruction is ALU instructions. Okay, so these are the ALU instructions. The ALU instructions are those instructions which are used by the ALU. Okay, that is arithmetic and logic unit. You can see DADD. This instruction is used for the AD operation. Okay, so D is the precision. D means double. So double precision. So double add the double data. Double add. You can use add or double add. So different commands you can use. These are some of the commands. So D add or add is instruction. Okay, or D sub and or DADDU. Okay, that is add unsigned. Okay, then sub and unsigned integer. These type of different types of instructions are there. So all these are ALU instructions. This is one class of instruction, and then second class is your load and store instructions. Okay, and third class is your branch instruction, branch in and jumps instruction. Okay, so branch are conditional transfer of control, and jumps are the unconditional. Okay, so branch is actually the branch instructions, like you are using your loop instructions, like your while loop, for loop. Okay, your conditional statements you're using, if conditions you're using. So all these are your branch instructions. Okay, and unconditional branch are the jumps are the unconditional branch instructions. Can you tell me one example of unconditional branch instruction? Can you tell me in C programming? Can you tell me unconditional branch instruction? Go to you are using, yes or no? Go to is
Yes, sir.
unconditional. Okay. Okay. So I told you that there are two types of pipeline. One is your instruction pipeline. The other one is arithmetic pipeline. So instruction pipeline is actually multiple instructions are overlapped in execution, Okay. And yeah, multiple instruction overlap in execution in different stages. Okay. And all these stages are known as pipes or pipe stages. Okay, pipe stage. And a pipe stage uses one clock cycle in the pipeline. Okay, so the instructions they are overlapped in stages, and the stages are known as pipe stage, and each pipe stage uses one clock cycle. Okay, and during each clock cycle the hardware will initiate a new instruction and will be executing some part of five different instructions. Okay, so total uh, five number of instructions can be in pipeline maximum, because we are using five stage pipeline. Okay, so if total number of stages in pipeline is five, that means total maximum five number of instruction can be in pipeline. Okay, so here you can see the classic five stage pipeline diagram for a RISC processor. So here these are the clock cycle numbers. Clock cycle number 1, clock cycle number 2, 3, 4, up to 9 clock cycles are shown here. And these are the instructions. Okay, instruction numbers are given here. You can see instruction number I, instruction I plus 1, instruction I plus 2, instruction I plus 3, instruction I plus 4. Okay, now you see how the pipeline execution is done here. At the clock cycle number 1, instruction IF is done. Okay, and I told you that at each clock cycle a new instruction is initiated by the hardware. So in clock cycle number 1, instruction I is initiated and its IF is done. In the clock cycle number 2, instruction I is ID is done and instruction I plus 1 is issued. Okay, it is initiated and its IF is done. Okay, and then in the clock cycle number 3, instruction I is EX is done, instruction I plus 1's ID is done, and instruction I plus 2 is issued and its IF is done. In the clock cycle number 4, instruction I is MEM is done, instruction I plus 1's EX is done, instruction I plus 2 ID is done, and instruction I plus 3 IF is done. Okay. Then the clock cycle number 5, instruction I is WB is done, instruction I plus 1's MEM is done, instruction I plus 2 EX is done, and instruction I plus 3 ID is done, and instruction I plus 4 IF is done. Okay. Now you can see here at the clock cycle number 5, total 5 number of instructions are in parallel. They are executing in parallel. Okay, so they are overlapped in different stages. Instruction I is WB is done here. Instruction I plus 1 MEM, I plus 2 CEX, I plus 3 ID, and I plus 4 IF is done. Okay, and remember, uh, in no clock cycle, okay, uh, the instructions to any two instructions should not use the same page. Okay, so there should not be overlapping of the same pages in one clock cycle. Okay, so two instruction cannot perform the same stage operation in one clock cycle. That is not allowed. Okay, so different stages can be performed at a given at a certain clock cycle. Okay, now here in this case you see in no clock cycle, no instructions, no two instructions are using the same pages. Okay, they are using different pages, you can see. Okay, so at the clock cycle number 5, instruction 1 completes. Clock cycle number 6, I plus 1 completes 7, I plus 2, 8, I plus 3, and 9, I plus 4 is completed. Okay. So here total we have 5 instructions, and these 5 instructions they complete their execution in total clock cycle number 9. Okay. And if you use sequential execution, then how many number of clock cycles are required to complete these 5 instructions? Can you tell me?
25.
25 number of clock cycles is required. Okay, so this is the advantage of using pipeline. Okay. Okay, then explanation of the pipeline stages of RISC processor. So as I told you that 5 stages are used in the pipelining. Instruction phase is the first stage. So here what happens, next instruction from the memory based on the program counter value, okay, is fetched. Okay, and then after that the program counter value is incremented by 4. Okay, why 4? Because here the word size is assumed to be 4 byte. Okay, the instruction size is assumed to be 4 byte. That's why the next instruction will be present after the 4 byte. Okay, that's why 4 you have to add with the program counter value. That will point to the next instruction. That's why increment PC by 4. Okay, so this is happening in the instruction fetch stage. So first you have to fetch the instruction from the instruction memory based on the program counter value. Okay, the address of the instruction you get from program counter, and you fetch that, and then you increment the program counter value by 4. Okay, to point to the next instruction. Then instruction decode phase, what you do, figure out what the instruction says to do. Okay, and after that get the values from the named register. Register read operation is done here. These two things are done in the instruction decode phase. Okay. Then yeah, one note here is written that the simple instruction format means we know which registers we may need before the instruction is fully decoded. Okay. So in some simple instructions, before the instruction is completely decoded, we know that which instruction we will read. Okay. So that is happening. That is possible. Okay. Then execute state. So in execute state, on a memory reference instruction, if the instruction is a memory reference instruction, as I told you, then you have to find the effective address. So how to find the effective address? See, effective address is actually the you are finding the effective address of the operand. Okay, it is similar to your translating the virtual address to the physical address. I have already discussed that in the memory system, how the virtual address is translated into the physical address. So the logical address is translated into the physical address. So there you are using the base address and you are using the offset value. So you are adding the base address, base register value with the offset value to find the physical address. So that is actually effective address. So here you have to find the effective address of the memory. Okay. So we have to bring the data or operand from the memory. If the instruction is a memory reference instruction, that means memory reference instruction means you are accessing memory. Okay, you are reading from memory or writing from memory. That is done. So for that you have to find the address of the memory location, the physical address you have to find. Okay, so that physical address is known as the effective address. Okay, so you have to find that physical address here in this stage. And how to find the physical address? Just you add the base register value with the offset value and you will find the physical address, that is effective address. Okay, so that is done here in the ex stage. And also if the instruction is a arithmetic instruction, then ALU operation is done here in this stage. Okay, so two things are done here in the EX stage. If the instruction is a arithmetic instruction, then ALU operation is done here by the ALU. And if the instruction is a memory reference instruction, then the effective address is calculated here by adding base register value with the offset value. Okay, so this is done in the EX stage. Then NEM stage, in the NEM stage, if the instruction is a load or store instruction, then you have to access the memory here. Okay, so you have already calculated the effective address of the memory location from where you will read or you will write data there. So you have found the effective address. Now from that address you will either read data, you will write data there. So that you will done here in this stage, that is MEM stage. Okay, so if the instruction is a load instruction or it's a row store instruction, you have to access the memory. And if the instruction is a branch instruction, then replace the program counter value with the destination address. Okay, see, if the instruction is a branch instruction, then no need to go to the next instruction. You have to just go to the branch target address where the branch I mean program or the block of the code is present. In case of branch instruction, you have to jump to that branch code. Okay, you have to execute that code. Okay, and we will discuss in more detail about this branch instruction later. So if the instruction is a branch instruction, then they have to replace the program counter value with the destination address here in this stage. Okay, otherwise do nothing. Okay, then in the last stage, that is write back stage, you have to write the data or result in the appropriate registers. Okay, so these are the explanations of different stages of pipeline. Okay, in a RISC architecture. Okay, any question? Okay, since there is no question, I'm moving to the next slide. So this is the visualization of pipelining. You can see clock cycle numbers are shown here. Clock cycle number 1, 2, 3 up to 7 clock cycles are shown. And here these are the instructions I1, I2, I3, I4 instructions are there. And these instructions are fetched in order. Okay, the instructions are fetched in order. In order means after I1 will be fetched, then I2 will be fetched, then I3 will be fetched, then I4 will be fetched. Okay, so one after the other. And here in all these stages or phases, the hardware, what hardware components are used, these are shown here. Okay, we know that in IF stage we are using data instruction memory. In ID stage we are using register. In EX stage we are using ALU. In MEM stage we are using data memory. And in the WB stage we are using registers. Okay, so the components here shown. Okay, now in this slide I'm going to show you actually what happens during register read and register write. Okay, so I told you that in the clock cycle number 2 or in the ID stage, and in the WB stage, register is accessed. Okay, in the ID stage, that is in the clock cycle number 2, you see here clock cycle numbers are shown. Clock cycle number, in short, I have written here CC. So clock cycle number 1, clock cycle number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9. 9 clock cycle are shown here. Okay, and these are the instructions. So this is first instruction, second instruction, third, fourth, 5. Total 5 instructions are shown here. Okay, and these instructions components means which instruction is using what component in which stage, these are shown here. So this is the first instruction, it is instruction memory. It is using instruction memory in the IF stage, that is used in clock cycle number 1. Okay, and it is using register in the clock cycle number 2, using ALU in the clock cycle number 3, using data memory in the clock cycle number 4, using register in the clock cycle number 5. Okay, and similarly this instruction uses IM instruction memory in the clock cycle number 2, and similarly other instructions, they are using different components or different clock cycle numbers. Okay, so this first instruction, you take any instruction, suppose you are taking this first instruction. So this first instruction is accessing or using register in the clock cycle number 2 and the clock cycle number 5. So in the clock cycle number 2, this instruction is reading the register, because register read is done here, and in the clock cycle number 5, this first instruction is writing the register. Okay, so I told you that in one instruction two things are in one clock cycle, two things are happening. Okay, in the ID stage, what is happening? In the ID stage, instruction is decoded, and then the register read operation is done. Okay, so how these two operations is done in one clock cycle? Actually, we use half of the clock cycle. Okay, so in first half of the clock cycle, we can decode the instruction. Okay, the instruction can be decoded in the first half of the clock cycle. The clock cycle is divided into two halves, first half and second half. So in the first half of the clock cycle, the instruction can be decoded, and in the second half of the clock cycle, the register can be read. Okay, so here the clock cycle number 2, instruction number 1's ID stage is performed, and in the ID stage, we know that two things are happening. First thing is the instruction is decoded, and second operation is the register read operation is done. So in the first half of the clock cycle, instruction 1's decode operation will be done, and in the second half of this clock cycle, register read operation can be done. That's why you can see in the first half of the clock cycle, dotted is given, or dot is given, and the second half, you see this line is there. Okay, and the second half of this clock cycle, this register read operation is done. Okay, similarly here, in case of clocks write operation, write back stage. Okay, here register write operation is done. Okay, and the register write operation is done in the first half of this clock cycle. So this whole complete clock cycle is not used for the writing of this register. Half of this clock cycle is used for write operation. Okay, that's why you can see the second half of the this clock cycle is dotted, and first half of this clock cycle is dark. Okay, so the write operation is always done in the first half of the clock cycle. Okay, and read operation is done in the second half of the clock cycle. Okay, so here in the first half of this clock cycle, this register in the first half of the clock cycle, register write operation is done. Okay, so in the second half of this clock cycle, the register can be register read operation can be done by some other instructions. Okay, so this is actually happening here. Okay, so this is the complete picture of pipeline. Okay, so this solid line shows the read or write operation. Okay, and yeah, read operation is done in the second half of the clock cycle, and write operation is done in the first half of the clock cycle. Okay, so this is happening, and here IM means instruction memory and DM means data memory. Okay, any question? Any question, students?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So since there is no question, I'm moving to the next slide. Okay. So pipeline registers. So there are different stages or phases of pipelining, and we can insert registers. So register is actually a memory. Okay, it's a small memory. So we can insert registers between the pipeline stages. Okay, so that no stage can interfere with each other. They will not conflict with each other. Like you can see between any two stages, these are the registers. The registers are inserted. You can see here in this first instruction, here is inserted between these IF stage and the ID stage. Between this IM and I register instruction is sorry, register is inserted. Similarly, between this stage and this stage, register is inserted. Similarly, in between any two stages of any instruction, the register is inserted, so that the instruction will not conflict with one another. Okay, so these registers actually, they ensure that the instruction in different stages, they do not interfere with one another. Okay, so this ensures this, and carry intermediate results from one stage to the other stage. Okay, suppose this stage is giving intermediate result, so that result can be stored here, and this stage can read data from this register. Okay, so this stage does not have to wait. Okay, and this stage does not have to be synchronized with this stage. Okay, so this stage can produce data or result and store here in the register, and this stage can take data whenever it requires from this register. Okay, there is no requirement of synchronization between these two stages. Okay, so this is the advantage of using pipeline registers in between the stages. Okay, any question? Any question? Okay, since there is no question, I'm moving to the next slide. So the next is pipeline performance. So I told you that we can increase the performance of the processor by using pipelining, because we are actually reducing number of clock cycles in the pipelining by overlapped execution of the instructions in multiple stages. Okay, so if we're using pipelining, then it is taking less time. And if you're using if we are not using pipelining, that means we're using the sequential execution, that will take more time. Now how to find the pipeline speed up? So speed up means how much faster is the new processor. Okay, suppose we have two processor, one processor is using pipelining and the other processor is not using pipelining. So how much speed up the processor using the pipeline is compared to the processor which is not using pipelining? How to find that? You just divide this. You just divide CPU time of the unpipelined processor, okay, divided by this CPU time of the pipeline processor. So whatever you get, that is the speed up of this pipeline. Okay, so speed up, this is the speed up equation, pipeline speed up equation. So speed up equals to CPU time of the unpipelined processor divided by CPU time of the pipeline processor. Okay, so this is your pipeline performance. So this way you can find the pipeline performance. Suppose your unpipelined processor is taking 3 seconds, okay, and pipeline processor is taking 2 seconds. Okay, 2 second or 2 nanosecond. Your pipeline's unpipelined processor is taking 3 nanosecond for executing some instructions, and the pipeline processor is taking 2 nanosecond to complete the execution. Okay, now what is the speed up? How can you tell the speed up? Can you tell me the speed up? How much speed up is the pipeline processor?
1.5 times.
Yes, yes, 1.5 times. Very good. Okay, so this is pipeline performance equation. Okay, so after this class, do you have some class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So I stop here because the time is over, and we will discuss the rest in the next class. Okay, and I will give you this recording also. Okay, so you can watch this recording. So any question? Okay, thank you. I'm stopping here.